Greetings, Ascending Starseed. I am Kaya Nexus, Pleiadian emissary of the Council of the Five Sisters, and today I bring a realignment transmission. Your frequencies of abundance are awakening, and the universe asks that you listen with an open heart. What is arriving to you is sacred, and it requires inner silence. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch are not subscribed yet. Starseed. There is a silent moment happening inside your species right now. So quiet that the mind keeps missing it, yet so powerful that your entire destiny is bending around it. You think you are trying to awaken, but what we witness is different. Your nervous system is being recoded to hold a higher bandwidth without collapse. Your defenses are softening, not because you are becoming weaker, but because the old armor can no longer survive inside the new frequency you're carrying. And yes, there are many voices on Earth arguing about Lightbody activation, DNA, Merkaba, rainbow body, ascension symptoms, proof, debate, dismissal. We are not here to battle definitions. We are here to give you a living pathway, simple enough to practice daily, deep enough to carry you through threshold after threshold. Not a performance, not a spiritual costume. A real energetic architecture that changes how you breathe, how you choose, how you perceive time itself. Because your light body is not a trophy you earn. It is what becomes visible when your system finally feels safe enough to remember what it has always been. And the reason many starseeds feel stuck is not because they lack gifts. It's because they tried to open the sky without first stabilizing the earth within them. And in a moment, you'll understand the one hidden law that makes everything else inevitable. Before visions, before telepathy, before contact, before downloads, there is a foundation that decides whether those experiences become medicine or chaos. The foundation is coherence. As the Pleiadiano transmit, coherence is not a mood, and it is not positive thinking. It is the condition in which your heart rhythm, breath rhythm, and attention stop pulling in different directions and begin to form one stable field, one harmonized oscillator. On Earth, you were trained to live as if life is an incoming attack, constant scanning, constant bracing, constant predicting. Yet the light body does not anchor into a body that believes it is unsafe to exist. Incoherence is what you call stress, but stress is not merely psychological. It is a biological command that narrows perception, tightens tissues, compresses time, and reduces the bandwidth through which higher frequency guidance can travel. This is why inner peace must come first, not as moral superiority, but as physics. Peace is the signature of a consciousness that knows itself as eternal. When you cultivate peace, you become a clearer receiver. The light body does not force its way into you. It emerges as your system becomes safe enough to hold it. If you are holding fear in the ribs, urgency in the jaw, anger in the shoulders, and grief under the breath, then higher currents will feel like overwhelm. But if you create coherence, those same currents feel like nourishment. We will make this practical, trainable, repeatable. Begin with breath that signals safety. A slower inhale that does not steal air, a longer exhale that tells the vagus pathways, the present moment is not a threat. Place attention in the center of the chest, not to visualize, but to return command from the scanning mind to the receiving heart. Within minutes, your perception widens. Your inner noise decreases. Your timing becomes cleaner. We have witnessed this in many starseed lineages. One Pleiadian incarnate on your world spent years chasing explosive spiritual events, sudden awakenings, dramatic encounters, intense ceremonies. Yet nothing integrated. The body remained tense, sleep remained shallow, relationships remained reactive. Then this one made a single devotion. 10 minutes daily of coherence training. Breath, heart, stillness. Not to escape life, but to meet it. After 40 days, dreams became lucid, synchronicities increased, intuition became quiet but precise. The same downloads that once overwhelmed now landed as usable guidance. The outer world did not become perfect, yet the inner field became stable, and therefore reality became navigable. And here is the secret the mind hates. Coherence makes you a stabilizer for others. Your field becomes an invitation. A room entrains to the calmest heart. This is why one coherent being can soften conflict without speaking. You do not fight fear, you out-resonate it. And when enough of you hold coherence, extreme timelines lose momentum, reactive narratives weaken, and a kinder probability begins to gain traction. This is complex systems behavior, and your planet is one vast nested system. So make coherence your first devotion, not because you must be high vibration, but because your body deserves kindness. Let your morning begin with an exhale that is not rushed. Let your mind learn it is not required to solve the universe before breakfast. And when coherence becomes familiar, something else happens. The mind loosens its grip, the heart begins to speak louder, and the next movement becomes inevitable, because the heart is not emotion alone. It is your multi-dimensional bridge. And what it reveals next may change how you understand your entire identity. The human world trained you to treat the mind as truth and the heart as mere feeling. Yet this is an inversion. The mind is a brilliant tool, but it processes reality sequentially, comparing fragments and building arguments for safety. The heart is a different instrument. It reads resonance. It senses trajectory. It perceives a field of possibilities rather than a single corridor of time. As the Pleiadian transmit, the heart is not weakness. It is the command center of alignment. Heart descent is not poetry. It is instruction. You take attention from the forehead, where the mind scans, and you bring it into the chest, where the soul speaks in signals your body can translate. Expansion, contraction, warmth, tightness, ease, resistance. A quiet yes. A subtle not yet. The mind demands proof, but the heart offers something older than proof: coherence with consequence. Many of you already know this. You followed a logical decision and felt heavy for months. You followed a quiet heart sense and arrived in the correct place without explanation. The proof was the outcome. Now we reveal what coherence unlocks: your oversoul network. You are not one isolated life trying to survive linear time. You are an expression of a larger consciousness, exploring itself across many bodies, many timelines, many dimensional bands simultaneously. Humans call them past lives, but these lives are not over. They are active, learning, creating, evolving. And you are meant to benefit from one another. Yet the door does not open through effort or mental searching. It opens through coherence, because coherence reduces static. When your inner field is agitated, the signal-to-noise ratio is distorted. Subtle cross-communication becomes impossible. But when heart coherence is present, the boundary between conscious mind and oversoul thins. Guidance arrives not as a booming voice, but as a felt clarity, a sudden knowing, a dream that carries emotional weight, a decision that becomes obvious without justification. Some of you experience these as identity shifts. An old fear no longer belongs to you. A new capacity quietly turns on. This is not random psychology. This is cross-connection. One aspect of you sharing what it has learned, while you share what you have learned in return. And then comes the great upgrade: non-linear perception and timeline navigation. When you live from mind alone, time feels like pressure. You feel pushed down a corridor, terrified of choosing the wrong door. But the heart perceives in fields. When you descend into the heart, time loosens. Possibility widens. The future stops feeling fixed and begins to feel like a living range of probabilities responding to your state of being in the present moment. You may sense multiple futures as simultaneously present, subtly, gently, like, if I go this way, my life will feel lighter, even without knowing the details. This is not fantasy. This is timeline sensing. Here is where many starseeds become free. The heart does not remove free will, it restores it. The mind alone often chooses under compulsion, conditioning, fear, external pressure. The heart chooses from invitation, and an invitation can be accepted or declined without punishment. This changes everything about relationships, work, healing, purpose. You stop violating your own signals. You stop overriding exhaustion. You stop justifying misalignment. And the moment you stop sending contradictory instructions through your field, the Lightbody finds a cleaner geometry to anchor. You will also perceive others differently, not as good or bad, but as state. This reduces entanglement. It prevents you from carrying what is not yours. It allows compassion without fusion. A coherent light body is not diffuse or fragile. It is self-contained, and the heart provides that clarity, not by hardening, but by knowing itself. You may notice synchronicities increase, not because the universe rewards you, but because you are no longer rowing against the current. Opportunities align. People appear at the right moment. Information arrives when needed. This is the byproduct of alignment, outer reality reflecting inner coherence more efficiently. And this prepares you for the next movement, because once the heart leads, what remains misaligned becomes visible. Old residues surface not as punishment, but as invitations to release. And the part most starseeds try to skip is exactly what makes the next threshold inevitable: purification. The ebook, The Pleiadian Map of Personal Transmutation, a profound guide that reveals how to raise your frequency, purify old patterns, and activate your true multidimensional identity. This map teaches you how to move through the 7 Pleiadian phases of energetic transmutation, using practical techniques, realignment exercises, vibrational protocols, and consciousness expansion rituals that accelerate your spiritual evolution. Attention, limited edition. The link to get yours is in the first pinned comment. On Earth, many spiritual paths taught that pain is necessary for growth, that suffering makes you worthy, that awakening must be earned through hardship. We speak gently now. Your species is graduating beyond that agreement. Growth does not require trauma. Expansion does not require catastrophe. Awakening does not require punishment. You have extracted wisdom from difficulty for a long time, yes, and you became skilled at it. But now you are learning growth through presence, joy, honesty, and love in motion. Purification is not a demand for more pain. It is completion. It is releasing what is already accumulated in your field: judgment, resentment, fear loops, subtle self-attack, inherited patterns, outdated identities. When the heart becomes clear, it reveals what no longer fits. And what no longer fits will ask to be released, not because you are wrong, but because you are ready. This is why relationships are being examined, roles dissolving, old ambitions losing their shine. Many starseeds feel this as everything changing, yet what is truly happening is your field insisting on congruence. The mind resists purification because it fears discomfort. It asks, what if I regret it? What if I'm wrong? What if I disappoint someone? The body responds with tension, fatigue, heaviness, pain. And here is the hidden truth. Discomfort is often the body saying, there is truth here that wants attention. When you give attention without drama, the body relaxes. When you ignore it, it intensifies. Not as punishment, as communication. Some of you experience physical pain with no simple explanation. Without fear, consider this possibility. Physical pain can reflect emotional energy that was suppressed and stored. This is not blame. It is empowerment. If the body speaks, the body can be listened to. When grief is avoided, it compresses the breath. When anger is denied, it tightens the jaw and shoulders. When shame is hidden, it collapses posture and drains vitality. The body becomes a library of unfelt chapters. Purification is the moment you stop running from the chapters and begin reading them with compassion. Practice this simply. Breathe. Place gentle attention on the area of discomfort. Ask, what emotion lives here? Do not demand an answer. Allow one. Then feel it without storytelling. Feelings are energy. They move when permitted. They stagnate when judged. You do not need to build identity around the emotion. You do not need to perform it. You simply let it exist long enough to complete its cycle. This is how density moves through you, rather than building a home inside you. And yes, symbolic technologies can help. The violet flame is a powerful archetype of transmutation. Whether you view it as energetic reality or psychological symbol, it works by giving the mind a constructive image while the body releases. Visualize violet light around your field, flowing through the centers, dissolving residue, returning you to neutrality and then to openness. Speak decrees of release. Invite forgiveness not as moral performance, but as frequency shift. Forgiveness is not saying, what happened was acceptable. Forgiveness is saying, I will not let this occupy my nervous system forever. Here is an Arcturian example we have witnessed in your dream planes. A sensitive starseed, overwhelmed by collective noise, began waking nightly with dread and tightness in the chest. In a lucid dream, Arcturian guides showed this one a simple geometry, a soft blue torus around the heart, rotating slowly, breathing light in and out. They did not explain with words, they showed frequency. The starseed practiced the geometry while awake, pairing it with gentle exhalations. Within weeks, the dread became information rather than identity. The chest softened. The dream channel cleared. This was purification not through suffering, but through literacy in the language of the body. Purification changes your relationship with fear. Fear may still appear, but it no longer owns you. Sadness may come, but it no longer defines you. Anger may rise, but it becomes signal rather than self. This is what it means to become lighter. Not the absence of density, but the ability for density to move through without resonance. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. And here comes the cliff you did not expect. Once purification clears space, the field becomes receptive in a new way. Many of you have been trying to force ascension, but the door opens when your system becomes open enough to receive without scattering. The next movement is not effort. It is intelligent openness, reception, and repatterning. And what begins to land there may rewrite your relationship to time itself. When you are coherent, heart-led, and willing to release what is heavy, you become receptive to what is higher. But do not confuse receptivity with passivity. Receptivity is active openness. It is the stance of a being who knows assistance is present and stops resisting it with doubt. You are being assisted in real time through solar currents, planetary rhythms, celestial alignments, and the coordinated intention of benevolent intelligences across your galaxy who are invested in Earth's awakening. Sensitive starseeds feel these waves as fatigue, tingling, vivid dreams, emotional clearing, sudden insight, or a strong desire to simplify life. These are not punishments. Often they are reorganizations, the nervous system updating so it can carry more light without burning. This is why grounding matters. You are being upgraded as a human, not as an escape from humanity. If you bypass your life, you bypass integration. Different lineages offer different doorways into reception: breath, visualization, sound, stillness, touch-based energy work, focused attention in certain bodily gateways. Even some of your declassified research explored synchronization of hemispheres through audio entrainment, bringing the body into deep relaxation while awareness stays present. We mention this not to glorify institutions, but to bridge the minds that need permission. Your science is slowly catching up with your mysticism. Coherence changes perception, and altered states can be trained. Now we name 2 dimensions. Many of you are already living, even if you lacked language: frequency literacy and temporal softening. Frequency literacy means you stop judging energy as merely high or low, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. That binary helps early discernment, but it becomes insufficient as your field refines. You learn to read frequency, not just how it feels, but what it is doing. Some frequencies feel gentle because they stabilize what is already coherent. Others feel intense because they are reorganizing structures that can no longer support your expansion. If you use comfort as your only metric, you will resist catalytic upgrades. If you glorify intensity, you will overwhelm yourself. Literacy is curiosity. What layer is this touching? What is it loosening? What is it amplifying? That curiosity is collaboration, not control. Temporal softening is the other major upgrade. Many of you feel time stretching or compressing. Days pass quickly, yet certain moments feel expansive and rich. Old memories surface out of sequence. Future anxiety loosens its grip. This is not dysfunction. This is light body anchoring, changing your relationship to linear time. You do not leave time behind, but you begin to experience it as a medium rather than a pressure. In rigid time, you are always late, always rushed, always behind. In softened time, presence becomes primary and timing becomes intelligent. You sense when to act and when to wait, not by fear-based urgency, but by resonance. This will confuse those conditioned to clocks and constant deadlines. You may think you are becoming unproductive. In truth, you are becoming temporally intelligent. The light body integrates through rhythm, cycles of expansion and rest, attention moving organically rather than being forced. As time softens, regret and future panic often decrease because you feel less identified with a single storyline. You begin to sense multiple versions of you across time, contributing to a larger oversoul learning. This awareness reduces the fear of getting it wrong. You become freer to choose. There is also a creative benefit. Imagination becomes more potent, not as fantasy, but as perception of nearby resonances. Futures feel reachable because your field can sense probability without needing rigid certainty. This is why synchronicity increases when you are aligned. You are no longer fighting the current, and so reality mirrors you more efficiently. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. And now, the cliff. As reception deepens, repatterning begins to happen without force. Habits reorganize, beliefs soften. You stop chasing techniques and begin living as availability itself. But when availability becomes stable, the light body asks a question that changes everything. What is this for? The next movement is embodiment and service, not martyrdom, but purpose. And what service truly means may surprise you. Many starseeds look at Earth and feel overwhelmed. You see suffering, conflict, confusion, outdated systems, and you wonder if you are meant to fix it all. You are not. You are meant to be the frequency that makes new systems possible. You are meant to be a human who can hold more love without collapsing, more truth without fragmenting, more complexity without losing coherence. As the Pleiadian transmit, your light body is not an escape craft. It is the way you remain on Earth with more grace, clarity, compassion, and creative power. You came for themes, relationships, challenges that awaken qualities, courage, patience, integrity, forgiveness, creativity, joy. Do not bypass your themes in the name of ascension. Ascension is the elevation of how you meet your themes, not the abandonment of them. When you become more luminous, your influence becomes quieter and stronger. People feel regulated near you. Your words land differently because they are carried by coherence. Your presence becomes a stabilizing field that others unconsciously entrain to. This is leadership without domination. Service is often simple. Sometimes it is meditation and the sending of healing intention. Sometimes it is a conversation where you listen without fixing. Sometimes it is a boundary that protects your energy so you can remain kind. Sometimes it is creative output, writing, art, a project that brings higher frequency into culture. Sometimes it is participating in building new systems, ethical communities, healthier leadership, transparent governance, sustainable technologies, embodied education. You do not need to do all of it. You need to do what you are guided to do, and guidance is clearest from the heart you've learned to live inside. Now we speak of boundaries, because many starseeds confuse boundaries with hardness. A boundary is not rejection. A boundary is clarity. Compassion is not collapsing into others' pain. Compassion is staying present with suffering while staying connected to your own center. This produces appropriate action, sometimes help, sometimes step back, sometimes resources, sometimes silence, sometimes no. The Lightbody does not make you a doormat. It makes you clear, loving without self-erasure, and joy is part of the mission. If you serve from heaviness, you multiply heaviness. If you serve from coherence, you transmit coherence. The simple pleasures are not distractions. Sunlight, birdsong, laughter, warm tea, meaningful rest. These tune your instrument. A tuned instrument plays a cleaner note. A cleaner note entrains the room. This is why your small moments matter. They are frequency training for the collective field. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. Here is the cliff. Once embodiment becomes stable, your field begins to reorganize, not only emotionally, but geometrically. Sacred geometry awakens in your subtle anatomy. The Merkaba is no longer a concept, it becomes a living symmetry. And the next movement we reveal is the geometry that allows higher light to anchor without distortion, including an Arcturian technique for stabilizing multidimensional perception in daily human life. On your world, sacred geometry is often treated like decoration, patterns on a wall, symbols on a shirt, intellectual fascination. But in the Pleiadian understanding, geometry is how consciousness organizes light into form. It is the language through which higher dimensional intelligence becomes stabilizable inside a biological instrument. Your light body is not abstract. It is structured. It has architecture. And one of the clearest architectures your species has remembered is what you call the Merkaba. Yet we speak gently. Chasing Merkaba activation as spectacle is a common trap. People try to spin fields, see colors, force visions, push energy upward. This can lead to imbalance, ungrounded sensitivity, nervous system strain, spiritual inflation, dissociation. The Merkaba is not a toy. It is a stabilizer. It is not about leaving Earth. It is about allowing higher frequency to anchor in Earth life without fragmentation. As the Pleiadiano transmit, the true Merkaba begins with 3 stabilizers: coherence, heart command, and grounded receptivity. When those are present, geometry emerges naturally. Not because you imagined it correctly, but because your system becomes coherent enough that light organizes itself efficiently. This is why many starseeds notice subtle shifts long before seeing anything. Improved timing, emotional resilience, clearer intuition, more graceful decision-making, less reactivity to collective noise. These are symptoms of geometric stabilization. Now, we give you a practical visualization that is safe and embodied. Do not strain. Place attention in the heart. Imagine a gentle, luminous symmetry around the body, not rigid, not mechanical, like 2 interpenetrating fields of light breathing through you. On inhale, you receive from above into heart. On exhale, you send from heart into earth. This creates a circuit: sky, heart, earth, earth, heart, sky. The geometry stabilizes because it is fed by rhythm. Without rhythm, geometry becomes unstable. With rhythm, it becomes a living organism. Here is the part many miss. Geometry is ethical. Not moralistic, ethical in the sense of congruence. If you lie to yourself, if you violate your own signals, if you push your body beyond capacity, the geometry destabilizes because the field receives contradictory instructions. But if you act with internal integrity, the geometry becomes coherent and higher frequency becomes easy to hold. Your light body is not impressed by performance. It responds to honesty. Now we bring an Arcturian example, because Arcturian consciousness is masterful in stabilization technology. In one contact sequence experienced in Dreamtime, Arcturians presented a calibration corridor rather than a ritual. They showed a starseed a simple daily practice. Before any social interaction, the starseed touched attention to 3 points: feet, heart, crown. Then silently asked, "What frequency am I hosting?" This question alone reorganized behavior. The starseed stopped absorbing others unconsciously. Empathy remained, but entanglement decreased. Sleep improved. Intuition clarified. This was geometry in daily life, not in ceremony. The Arcturians emphasized stabilization first, expansion second. Always. When light codes arrive, through dreams, synchronicities, inner flashes, do not obsess over decoding them mentally. Codes are not always symbols. Often they are state transmissions. The code is the shift in your posture, the change in your breath, the sudden compassion, the release of an old fear. If you become obsessed with interpretation, you return command to the mind and destabilize reception. But if you embody the shift, the code completes itself. This topic carries a final cliff. When geometry stabilizes, your influence expands beyond what you can measure. You become a coherent oscillator within the collective field. Timelines respond. People entrain. Events soften. And then the greatest question returns, but at a higher octave. How do we steward timelines consciously without becoming obsessed with fear? The final movement is not an ending. It is a spiral of mastery. And in the next topic, we will reveal how to live as a timeline stabilizer while remaining fully human, fully joyful, and free. You are living in an era where probabilities are fluid. Many futures are competing for momentum. This is why your planet feels intense, not because you are doomed, but because the collective is choosing. And starseeds often misunderstand their role. They think they must predict outcomes, fight darkness, argue with fear, or carry the emotional weight of the world. Yet the most powerful form of service is simpler. Become coherent enough that your presence stabilizes the field. Earth is not an object you live upon. Earth is a conscious being with electromagnetic rhythms, emotional memory, and an evolutionary trajectory. Human nervous systems and planetary fields are nested systems. When you achieve inner coherence, you broadcast stability into the collective. This is why a calm person shifts a chaotic room. This is why coherent communities change neighborhoods. This is why mass meditations can influence social volatility. It is not superstition. It is entrainment. Complex systems synchronize to stable oscillators. But timeline stewardship is not obsession. It is not doom scrolling. Fear-based input destabilizes coherence and pulls you into timelines you do not wish to energize. You can be informed without being hijacked, compassionate without collapsing, aware without agitation. This is the mature starseed posture. Sensitivity without coherence becomes anxiety. Sensitivity with coherence becomes wisdom. You stop predicting. You start sensing trajectories. You feel when a timeline is losing viability and withdraw your energy. You sense when a new pattern is forming and nourish it with attention, creativity, action, and rest. This is also why your daily practice matters more than your beliefs. A single coherent breath is a vote. A heart-based choice is a vote. A boundary that protects your peace is a vote. A creative act that carries kindness into culture is a vote. These are not small. They are how timelines are fed. And remember, the 5 movements are not steps you complete once. They are a spiral you revisit. Coherence returns you to stability. Heart descent returns you to guidance. Purification clears residue. Reception and repatterning bring higher frequencies into the body. Embodiment and service express those frequencies in lived form. Then life presents a new threshold, and you begin again, higher on the spiral, wiser, softer, stronger, more awake. So here is a simple practice that contains the entire transmission. Breathe gently until the body relaxes. Place awareness in the heart until presence is felt. Allow the next emotion ready to be completed and hold it with kindness until it softens. Open the vertical circuit, sky to heart to earth, receiving and grounding simultaneously. Then choose one small action that matches the frequency you cultivated. A message, a rest, a boundary, a creative step, a compassionate offering. This is Lightbody activation as a lived path, not a performance. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are awakening in a way that honors your humanity and your divinity at the same time. And that is the true purpose of the Lightbody, to bring higher reality into Earth through the miracle of a human heart that remembers. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light.